of Tzad Gimel Amud Beis in the Mishnah. Oh, talk to Mishnah. Hamaitzi eichlim pachas mikashir. A person carries food that's less than the minimum amount to be chayiv. So, for example, if it's food that you're eating, it's less than a kegreigeris. So you're carrying it bekeli, in a keli that has the shear to be chayiv. Potter afala keli. You're going to be potter not only for the food that's not the size, but also on the keli. Shakeli tfeilaloi, because the keli is secondary to the food itself. So your whole purpose of carrying is for the food. The keli is tafel to the food, so you're potter on that as well. This is a Mishnah that the Rebbe used very, very often over the years to explain the concept of bittul ha'elamus that Chassidus talks about. You have an existence of a keli, and the keli befedish has a shear. You measure it, you'll see it has a shear. But afal pikein, halacha says that if the main thing is the food and the keli is tafel, it's like the keli doesn't exist. The keli has no metzius, it doesn't get counted in. Al derech zeh, you have an existence of a world. You look, you feel, it exists, it's here. It's not a dimyon. Chassidus always emphasizes it's not stam a dimyon. But if you know the real chayas of a lakus that's inside the world, that without it the world has no entity b'chlal, and it's tafel, so it doesn't exist. Al pia emes, it doesn't exist. It has no significance. Weiter, es hachai b'mita, you take out a live person, carrying him on a bed. Potter afala mita, you potter on the bed as well. Shamita tfeilaloi, again the same point, because the bed is secondary to the live person, and the live person when you carry him, this is the Gemara of achai noises atzmai, a live person carries himself, and therefore you potter. We'll see this in the Gemara, a lot of details about chai noises atzmai. Weiter, es hameis b'mita, you carry a dead body in a bed, chayiv, so then you chayiv. He doesn't carry himself, so you chayiv. V'chein kizayis min hameis, so too if you carry out a kizayis of a mace from a house into the street, you chayiv. What's the significance of the shear of a kizayis? So Rashi explains, because kizayis is the minimum size that's goyim tumah. So if you carry out the kizayis, you're taking out tumah from the house. So you're doing something choshev, you're doing something of significance, right? This is again going back to the shiurim that we keep on speaking about. The shear that you need for haitzah is doing something of significance. When you get to tumas meis, hayes kazayis is the shear that causes tumah. By taking it out of the house, you're saving the house from tumah. Or kazayis min an avela, and the same thing is also by an avela, which the minimum shear to cause tumah is a kazayis. Or ka'adasha min asheretz. By a sheretz, the shear that causes tumah is a lentil size. So if you remove that, so you're saving the house from the tumah of the sheretz. So then you'll be chayiv. Rab Shimon pater. Rab Shimon paters in all of these cases, even a person that carries out a dead body on a bed. Like Rashi says over here, Afilim meis shalem. Rab Shimon says you'll still be pater, and this is the shitta of Rab Shimon that we had many, many times that says that a malacha she'eina tzricha legufa yepater. Because the person does not need this malacha for the guf of the malacha that he's doing it, it's eina tzricha legufa yepater. Now over here, there are two interpretations of what malacha she'eina tzricha legufa means. We had this many times before already, but this is the place where Rashi and Taisus explain this. Rashi is right here in the Mishnah. The Taisus is printed on the next Amud, but Abamus it's Taisus on the Mishnah here. Rashi teaches here, and many times earlier, that the pshat of malacha she'eina tzricha legufa means it's a kind of malacha that you're not even interested in. It's because of something that happened that you didn't want to happen, so in order to get rid of it, you're reacting and responding to it, and you have to get the mace out. The person doesn't want the mace b'chlal. The mace is a tragedy that happened, and therefore he's getting rid of it, he's removing the mace from the house. That's the taich eina tzricha legufa. There's no constructive thing that you were interested in doing, you're just responding to a situation that happened that you didn't want b'chlal. That's Rashi's taich of eina tzricha legufa. Right? Okay, Taisus has a different shot. Taisus says the reason why carrying out a mace is eina tzricha legufa is because it's not the way the malacha was done in the Mishkan. The point of malachas haitzah in the Mishkan was they carried an item from one location to the second location. You needed the item in location B. You wanted to deliver the item over there. That's what haitzah is to accomplish. Over here, you're not interested in bringing the mace from location A to location B. Your main point is to remove him from where he is. He happens to end up in location B by default if you're removing him from here. But hayais, your whole kavanah is just to remove him. That's eina tzricha legufa. You don't need the guf of the malacha, which is the bringing him to the new location. Different shot. So it's not about the fact that it's a reaction to something that you didn't want that happened. You don't want the etzem purpose of the malacha. You just want to remove him and not to bring him where you brought him. Taisus here brings a lot of examples for this. This is a klolazig machloikis about ein tzricha legufa between Rashi and Taisus. Oh yeah.
The Mishnah doesn't prove in the Sayeh and Bamamish. This whole concept is not related at all.
It is. We're going to come back to that in a moment. I'll bring it up. Yes, it is connected to Masayeh and Bamamish. Yeah. Let's leave in the Gemara. I'll bring it up then. Zok the Gemara, Taner Rabbanon, Amaitzi Eichlin Keshior. If you carry out food, it does have a share. In Bekeli, you're carrying it in a Keli, Chayiv ala Eichlin, so you only chayiv for the food, but upater ala Keli. You potter on the Keli because again, the Keli is secondary to the food. If when you're carrying the keli with the food, you actually need the keli for something else, you're going to use the keli for something other than being a keli for the food, then chayev afala keli. You're going to be chayev for the food and you're chayev for the keli. So you're carrying them both out together in one action, but you're going to be chayev separately for the food and for the keli. From here we could learn out regarding another Isser, regarding a person that eats two kizesim of chaylev at the same time. A person that ate two kizesim of chaylev with the same lapse of forgetfulness, chayiv shtayim, that you would be chayiv twice. Just like it says over here, if you carry the food and the keli and you chayiv twice, even though it's behelam echad, it's one shaygig. So the same thing, if you eat two kizesim of chaylev, behelam echad, you should be chayiv twice.
Behelam echad doesn't mean necessarily one meal. It could be like
no.
2 days apart.
It could be any amount of time apart, but the point is it's helam echad. It's one helam, correct. Over here, actually, the person that's carrying the food and the keli, it's one action. Over there, when he eats two kizesim of chaylev, even if he ate them one right after the other, it is two actions. But nevertheless, it says in the Rishonim, over here, you're carrying food and a keli. There's oichel and it's a keli. So it has two different names, even though it's in one action. Over there, chaylev, it's the exact same item of chaylev. The name of the isser is the exact same. So enochanami, it's sort of two actions. You're eating one chaylev and then another kazayis of chaylev, but it's mamish the same name, behelam echad, so therefore the Gemara compares them. So this is not like what we learned before in the Gemara. Anytime you do something behelam echad, you only chayiv once. But over here, l'chayre, we see, based on the way it was described by the keli and the food, that you chayiv twice, that the same thing should be by the two kezesim of chaylev, that you chayiv twice. Over here, you know what it's talking about. That when he carried out the food, he was only a shoygig legabi the food, and legabi the keli, he was not a shoygig. For whatever reason, he made this mistake. Legabi the oichlin, he was a shoygig. Legabi the food, he was a mazid. So we're not saying over here that he would be chayiv two karbanis chatas. For the keli, he'd be chayiv a carbon chatas, but he was a mazid. Again, for the oichlin, he would be chayiv a carbon chatas because he was a shoygig. But on the keli, he'd be chayiv misa if he was a mazid. But to be chayiv two karbanis chatas behelam echad, no. We never meant to say that, so you can't prove it from here. Ask if Rav Ashi asks a question, but that's not the lashon of the Braisa. V'ho af ala keli katani. It uses in the Braisa the lashon of af also on the keli. It's mashma that he's chayiv twice. He's chayiv once for the food and once for the keli. Now you're saying he's only chayiv misa for carrying the keli b'mezid. Elam Rav Ashi, so Rav Ashi answers differently. Over here, he could be chayiv a carbon chatas twice. And how is that? He was a shegig for the eichel and for the keli, but then when he found out about the isser that he did, he found them out in two different times. There was one yediyah and then a separate yediyah. If the yediyah came in two times, if you remember, we had this before in Perek Klal Gadol, that according to Rabbi Yochanan, the yediyah is the very fact there were two separate yediyahs there, that's mitzmachaliket and two karbanas. Or beplukte, the Rabbi Yochanan, the Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. The machlekes over here between the two tirutzim of Rav Ashi and the Rav Sheshes is arguing in the machlekes of Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish says even if you found it out in two different times, you still chayiv only once. But Rabbi Yochanan said if you found it out in two separate times, you chayiv twice. And that's the case of the Braisa before, according to Rav Sheshes. Now we go to the din of a chai noises atzmai. Es a chai b'mita pata afala mita. You carry a live body, a live person that is, in a bed, so you put it on the bed as well. And the reason is, like we said, chai noises atzmai. So leime masnisin Rab Nosson, he shall we say that our Mishnah follows only the opinion of Rab Nosson v'lei Rabbanan. Tanya, we learned in Abraisa, Hamaitzi behema chayev oif l'rishus harabim. You carry out any of these animals or a burden to the rishus harabim. Bein chayin, bein shchutin, whether they're alive, whether they're dead. Chayev. The Tanna Kama says, in either case you'll be chayev. So it seems like he doesn't hold of chay noises atzmai. Rab Nosson says, al shchutin chayev. If they're dead, then you're chayev. But val chayin potter. If they're alive, you're potter. And the reason is shachay noises atzmai, because the live animal or bird carries itself. So we see that only Rab Nosson is the one that says this. So let me stop over here for a moment to explain this concept of chay noises atzmai. Tosfos here asks the basic question: how does chay noises atzmai give you a reason that you should be potter? Chay noises atzmai l'chayr just makes the animal or the human being a little bit lighter. Just because it's a bit lighter, so therefore you're potter. Where does it say that what you carry has to be heavy? There's no mantra. It doesn't have to be as heavy as its natural way it is without chay noises atzmai. So Rashi in the Mishnah says, "Duhu mekel atzmai v'noise atzmai." He's actually carrying himself. It's not just about the weight. He's carrying it with you. So the Achrayim say, Reb Chaim Brisker, others say that the pshat over here is that it's like Shnaim Shasu. You're doing it together with the Chai that's assisting and helping you. It's a case of Zeh Yachol v'Zeh Eini Yachol. You're able to carry him. The Chai Noises Atzmai, through the fact that he carries himself, he's Eini Yachol. He can't carry himself. So Reb Chaim is Mechadish. You don't say the svara of Zeh Eini Yachol if it's intrinsic in the Etzem Cheftzeh. When you have a cheftzeh, then you have two outside people that come to carry that cheftzeh, so then you say the person that's yachol is chayiv and the person that's eini yachol is potter. But if the very cheftzeh itself is carrying along with you by its intrinsically, its nature, that's something that's a hishtatvus in the malacha, that's choshev, that's a hishtatvus in the malacha, and therefore it's shnaim shasu. That's his pshat. We're going to get to Rashi. Tosfos says differently. Tosfos says, Enochanami, just the fact that it's lighter is not a reason to pat to you, but because it's not the way it was done in the Mishkan. The Aveda of the Malacha, that is, of carrying in the Mishkan was done with things that were not alive, and Tosfos proves it, that in the Mishkan they didn't carry live things, so therefore it's not like the way it was done in the Mishkan. So the Rishonim speak about the Tosfos Harash, and others speak about the Tosfos. Who cares if it wasn't exactly like the Mishkan? It has to be only the items that were carried in the Mishkan you're chayav for. If you carry an item that did not exist b'zman Mishkan, you're not going to be chayav for. Elamai, the pshat in Tosfos is chay noises atzmai changes the nature of the carrying, and this is a nature of carrying that wasn't in the Mishkan, and therefore you're potter for this. So that's the pshat in chay noises atzmai.
According to Chaim, that means that it becomes Ze'eni Yachol.
Yeah, al derech, correct. So the question of the Gemara over here is that l'chayre this goes only according to Rab Nosson, not according to the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan clearly say that even if it's chayin, even if they're alive, you're still chayiv. Amarava filatei Rabbanan. This is even according to the Rabbanan. At kan lepliga Rabbanan aleh the Rab Nosson. When the Rabbanan argue Rab Nosson ela bebehema chayev oiv, when it comes to an animal, the misharvati nafshayu. An animal is sort of stiffening itself up. It tries to wiggle its way out of somebody that carries it. It wants to run away. So therefore, there is no chay noises atzmai by an animal. Okay, we mentioned this before, that over here, this is the Gemara that explains that by an animal, you don't say chay noises atzmai. Aval adam chay the noises atzmai full rabbanan maidu. When you carry a person and he's not trying to run away, adarabe, he positions himself and balances himself in a way that he sort of helps you carry him. And therefore, over here, the Rabbana would agree that you say chay noises atzmai. This inyan of chay noises atzmai is brought in Chassidus as well. The Rebbe brings it in also to prove the idea that chayas is something that is pnimi. When you have a revelation, it could be something that's makif and it doesn't necessarily change the nature of where it enters into. Chayas means, when you have the chayas of the neshama in a guf, it's not the pshat that the neshama is alive, the guf is atayt the guf, and the guf is just being dragged along by the neshama. But the guf alain is a dead guf. No, the chay, the guf, the physical guf itself becomes a lebedik guf. That's the concept of chay noises atzmai. The very guf itself is alive, and therefore, because it's bipnimius, the chayas is bipnimius. And the point is that the emes is that the concept of chay noises atzmai applies even to the animal. The way the chayas affects the body of the animal is also an oifen of chay noises atzmai. Elamai, the animal has a nature that it tries to wiggle itself out of somebody that carries it, so therefore we can't apply the chay noises atzmai. But be'etzem, the concept exists even by an animal.
Feed them a little child.
If what?
Feed them a little
Oh,
child doesn't
it's
want
brought.
to
The
be taken
shaila,
out.
yeah, the shaila is brought about a little child. Yeah,
Somewhere?
yeah, I think so. I think it's somewhere that it's spoken about that,
Yeah,
about a little
infant
child that
or-
wants to run away. Huh?
What about an infant or someone who just can't walk?
So the Gemara is soon going to talk about a case of people that don't. Let's see.
And someone sleeping also.
Kafus. The Gemara talks about a case of a person that's tied. Let's see. Sagt the Gemara weiter. There's another mission that we learned. Ben beseira mater besus. So what this mission is, a mission of Zara. What it's talking about over there is Chachamim made a gzeira that you shouldn't sell animals to goyim b'chlal. This gzeira doesn't apply today. We'll see in Mitzvah when we learn it why it doesn't apply today. But he made a gzeira not to sell animals to goyim, and the reason is because leman yenuach shercha v'chamercha. The Issa Malacha of Shabbos also applies that you're not allowed to have your animals do any Malacha on Shabbos. And therefore you're not allowed to lend your animal to a guy on Shabbos, rent your animal to a guy to use on Shabbos, because it's still your animal and your animal is working on Shabbos. So they made a gzeira that you also shouldn't be allowed to sell your animal to a guy on Shabbos. However, Ben Beseida says with a horse you're allowed. You're allowed to sell a horse to a guy. Tanya, what's the reason why it's allowed? Ben Beseida mate besos mipnei shu oisa by malacha shein chayavan olav chatas. Because what kind of a malacha is usually done with a horse? A person rides on a horse. So the person that rides on the horse, chai noises atzmai. So it's not a real malacha. It's not a malacha that the horse is not carrying the person because the person is carrying himself. So Ben Beseida is also based, this halacha of Ben Beseida is based on the same thing of Chai Noises Atzmai. V'amar Rabbi Yechanan said about this opinion of Ben Beseida, v'Rab Nasan amru davar echad. Ben Beseida and Rab Nasan are saying the same point, that a human being riding on a horse is Chai Noises Atzmai, like Rab Nasan said. Now, the question of here is, if what we said before is true, that really the Rabbana don't argue on Rab Nasan when it comes to a human being. They only argued regarding an animal or a bird because it wiggles its way out and it's not assisting you in carrying it. Why did Rabbi Yechanan say that Ben Beseida and Rab Nasan are on the same opinion? You said that even Rabbanan agreed to this. And for the Gemara, Ki Amar Rabbi Yechanan, you know what Rabbi Yechanan was talking about when he was explaining Ben Beseida's opinion? Besus hamiyuchad loifis. A horse that carries birds on it, not a horse that's for human beings. So the Gemara asks me, Besus hamiyuchad loifis. Do you have a source that's designated for carrying birds on it? And for the Gemara, yes, Ike de Beviyadon. There's a source of Beviyadon, as Rashi explains. This is a horse that was used for hunters that would hunt birds. And they would go around in the forests with these horses that had these birds that were positioned on these horses, and it would attract other birds like them to come along, and that's how you were able to hunt and capture these birds. So these horses are made for the birds on them, and that's what Rabbi Yechanan was talking about. But if it would be a horse that a human being rides in it, so then it's not only the opinion of Rab Nasan, even the Rabbanan agree that Chai Noises Atzmai. The Gemara has still one more question on this. Rabbi Yechanan. Now, Rabbi Yechanan said, Umayde Rab Nasan bekafus. Even Rab Nasan holds that Chai Noises Atzmai, but if the person is tied, so then he can't position himself, he can't balance himself in a way to help you carry him when he's tied, so therefore we don't apply Chai Noises Atzmai. So now based on this, he asked the question, but Vahahani Parsoi, these Persians, the command, the kfisi domu, they are always like they were tied up. Why is this? So Rashi says for two reasons. Number one, they wear clothing that doesn't allow them to position themselves in a way to help you. They wear these kind of garments that they're sort of like tied up. And second of all, Rashi says, they don't move around too much, b'chlal. Rashi says that they never put their feet on the ground to walk around, to run around. They always are riding on a horse, or they're always sitting on their couch. They're always sitting in one place. So therefore, they do not help you to balance themselves, and Chai Noises Atzmai does not apply to these Persians. V'amar Rabbi Yechanan. Now Rabbi Yechanan said, Ben Beseida, v'Rab Nasan amru davar echad. So Rabbi Yechanan, as we quoted before, said that the opinion of Ben Beseida and the opinion of Rab Nasan were the same thing. So how could that be? Why are they the same thing? What's the pshat in this question? So as Rashi explains, the pshat on this question is, when Ben Beseida said his opinion, Ben Beseida was talking about selling horses or selling animals to a guy. That's what that Mishnah in Avodah Zarah is talking about. It's talking about selling things to Umas Ha'elam, which Pashtus includes even Persians. It didn't exclude Persians over there in that Mishnah. So Ben Beseire said as halacha, even when it get to Persians, which are like tied up. But Rab Nosson, Rab Yechanan said, wasn't talking about a case where it's tied up. So according to Rab Nosson, Persians would not be included. So l'chayre, there's a chiluk here between Rab Nosson's opinion and Ben Beseire's opinion. Ben Beseire holds even by kofus you say chay noiseh atzmai, like in the case of Persians, and Rab Nosson holds it by kofus you don't say chay noiseh atzmai. So how did Rab Yechanan compare them? Answers the Gemara, no, it's not true. This whole thing that we just said about Persians is not true. Hasam, by the Persians, Ramus ruchuhu denakatluhu. It's just an arrogance, the way they sit, that they don't move around, that they get dressed up in a way that they don't move around enough, but really they can balance themselves and move around as much as they want. And the Gemara says, Dahu pardashke, there was this police, the Rosach Malki Lavei, that the king got angry at him and was trying to catch him. V'rot losa parsa bekare, and he ran 3 parsais with his own feet. He was able to pick up his feet and run. He was able to run. He knows how to balance himself. Elamai, it's their arrogance. They sit around on a horse, or they sit around on the couch and they don't move around too much. So really, this whole thing about the Persians is not true. So you carry out a dead body on the mitzvah, so you'll be chayiv, and a kazayas of a mace as well. Amar Rabba Babachan, Amar Rabbi Yechanan, Amar Rabbi Yosef, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, Paiter, Hoyer Rab Shimon. So when it says in the Mishnah that Rab Shimon pater, in this case when you carry out a mace, so Rab Shimon pater, af v'moitzi es ha-mace l'kovrei. Even if you're actually taking out the mace on Shabbos to bury him. Even though l'chayre, in such a case, when asvara, it should be a malacha tzricha l'gufa. Over here, you're accomplishing something positive regarding the mace itself. You're not just removing him from the house. You're not just trying to get him out, but you're actually putting him in the place of kvura, where he belongs. So therefore, l'chayre, it's a malacha tzricha l'gufa. Nevertheless, Rab Shimon over here is still maida that this is considered to be a malacha shein tzricha l'gufa and yepater. And I still didn't see 100% a good hesbah for this, why that is. I didn't maybe look enough, but I'm not exactly sure what's stuck at the pshat in this. Why Rab Shimon is maida and holds his opinion in this case as well. L'chayre, this is a malacha tzricha l'gufa.
I think it's very practical. You take a mace out to bury, and there shouldn't be any kazayas because you want to bury.
No, here we're talking about a full mace, even a full mace. It's going on the case of a full mace. So it's of a full mace, but you're doing it on Shabbos, and Rab Shimon says, Ein tzricha l'gufa is potter. So over here, because you're doing it for the purpose of kvura, it's tzricha l'gufa. You're doing it for the purpose of the mace to bury him, where you want to bring him to that location to bury him. Why isn't it tzricha l'gufa? So according to Rashi, you would have rather that he did not die. Okay, but according to Taisvis, that says that the point is that you're just trying to get him out of the location where he is, and it's not about where you're going to put him. L'chayr over here, you want him to be buried right over here. Sagt der Gemara weiter, Amar Rave, Meide Rab Shimon. So Rave said that Rab Shimon would be Meide, b'mar lachbar. You carried out a shovel to dig with it, lachbar boy, or the Sefer Torah likris boy. You carry out a Sefer Torah to read in it, the chayiv. That in such a case, this is a regular malacha that you're doing it for the purpose of the malacha. You need it, and tzricha l'gufa, so you would be chayiv. So the Gemara asks right away, Pshita, obviously. The ihon nami malacha shein tzricha l'gufahi. If you're going to define this as a malacha shein tzricha l'gufahi, el malacha shetzricha l'gufa. So Rab Shimon heichem mishkachas la. According to Rab Shimon, how are you ever going to have a malacha tzricha l'gufa? You need the Sefer Torah, you need the shovel, and that's ein tzricha l'gufa. So the Gemara says no. Mao the Taima, the chiddush of Rava is, I would think to say ad ikil l'gufay u'legufa. The only time that Rab Shimon would hold Yechayev on Shabbos is if you need this item for a purpose, and also the item itself needs to be fixed, for its purpose. Something needs to be done with it. You see, so you need Saila Gufay and Saila Gufa. And the Gemara explains, Kagaymar lasas litas. You're taking out a shovel. It's not only that you need the shovel to dig with it, but the plate of the shovel has to be fixed. So it's for the purpose of the shovel itself. Or Sefer Torah lahagia. Vilachbar. So it needs a tas. So that's the lagufa. The shovel needs the fixing, and also you need to dig with it. And say, that's what you would think. Maybe you would only be chayiv if you have both. And Sefer Torah, lahagia v'likrisba. You would only be chayiv if the Sefer Torah itself needs to be fixed, needs to be checked, and also you need it to be used to read in it. Ashmalan, that was the chiddush of Rava, that when Rab Shimon holds that you have to have a malacha tzricha l'gufa, it's enough that you have a purpose for its use. It doesn't have to be for the purpose of the item itself to fix it. Hahu shachva dahave bedroikris. There was a dead body that was in this place called Droikris. Shara Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak lafuke lekarmelis. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak allowed to take out the dead body into a karmelis, which of course is only an isser derabanan. It's not being brought into the Rosh Hashanah. Amar Rabbi Yechanan achod ma'abrei deravana Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak kaman. According to who did you allow this to be done? Kirab Shimon. According to the opinion of Rab Shimon that just said that when you carry out a mace, it's amlacha she'ein tzricha legufa, and therefore you can do this. Rab Shimon only says that a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, there's no isam and atayra, there's no chiyuv chatas. But he's surah the rabbana miyeike. But even according to Rab Shimon, when you do a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa, it is asam the rabbanan. So how did Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak allow to take out the dead body into the karmelis? Amalei, so he answered him, ha'lekim. It's a lashon of a shvua that I swear and say, the Eilis Beyat, even you would enter to do the same. Then Vafil Rabbi Yehuda, even according to Rabbi Yehuda, this is also allowed. Why? Did I allow? Did I tell him to take out the mason to a Rosh Hashanah where you're doing mamash malacha of eitzah to the Rosh Hashanah? The Carmelis come in. I only allowed to take out into a Carmelis. So even if it's tzricha legufa, or even if it doesn't have to be tzricha legufa, like Rabbi Yehuda holds a malacha she'ein tzricha legufa is chayiv, but over here it's to a Carmelis. And God will cover the abriyas shadeiches loisas shebetayra. We find that covered abriyas is doicha loisas. So we had this before. Rashi brings that when you get to the mitzvah of Shabbos aveda, a zaken ve'enu lefichvayda, it does not have to do the mitzvah of Shabbos aveda. So over here, Chachamim did not institute their takanis in a place where it's covered abriyas. So taking it out to a karmelis, which is zayda de rabbanon, the takan of the rabbanon does not apply. Okay, now we're going to go back to the Mishnah, and we're going to get to the kezayis of a mace. We said if you take out a kezayis of a mace, that's the minimum amount that you remove the tumah of the house, and therefore you chayiv for that. But the Gemara comes back to that case of the Mishnah by bringing first the halacha b'negeh to a nega. Tanan asam, we learned the halacha by a nega. Hataylish simone tumah, a person that rips out one of the simonim of the tumah of a nega. So by a nega, one of the simonim of the tumah is that you have two white hairs. So he ripped out one of those white hairs. Or vehichva hamichya. You have another siman tumah in a nega when you have the nega itself is white, and then in the middle of the nega you have regular skin that's the regular color, and that's actually a siman tumah. So the person burnt that off. The person removed this michya, which is a siman tumah. Oive b'loisesa, you oive in the loisesa of, as Rashi brings, he shomer b'nega tzeras. That when a person gets a nega tzeras, you're not allowed to remove it. Okay, now on this we learned the machlekes. Itmer, we learned the machlekes Amiram about this. Achas mishtayim. If he didn't remove both white hairs, which is the siman tumah, he only removed one of the white hairs. Chayiv. So then you also chayiv because you have to have two white hairs for the siman tumah. If you removed one white hair, so you remove the siman tumah. Avsheish samar. I skipped something over here. Okay, achas mishtayim chayiv. Achas mishaloish. If we removed one of three hairs, three white hairs, so over here, when you remove that one white hair, the siman tumah is still intact. So Rav Nachman Omar chayiv. Rav Nachman says you're still tampering with the siman tumah, and you would be chayiv. Rav Sheshes Omar potter. Rav Sheshes says no, you potter because there's still two white hairs there. And the Gemara explains the machlekes. Rav Nachman Omar chayiv. Rav Nachman says in such a case you'd be chayiv. Why? Even though the siman tumah is still there, but ahani ma'isov, the action that you did have an effect. The I mishtakla choda achrite. Now, if one more of the hairs is going to be taken away, ozla la tumah. So then the siman tumah will be gone. So you brought it closer. Even though currently you took away one hair, the two hairs are still here, but you brought it closer if another hair is taken away. So your action is effective. Rav Sheshes sama potter. Rav Sheshes says you potter. Why? He says you have to look at the present. Hashta miyas ha'isa l'tumah. When you took out one from three hairs, two of the hairs are still there, so the siman tumah is still there, and therefore you'd be potter. So now we come back to our Mishnah. Amar Rav Sheshes says Rav Sheshes, I'm in a law. From where do I take my opinion? From our Mishnah. There's what it says in our Mishnah, and then there's a Braisa which is a contradiction to our Mishnah. The Tanan in our Mishnah we learned. V'chein kezayis min ameis, you carry out a kezayis from a dead body, from a house, so you chayiv, right? And the kezayis min anavela, same thing of a nevela, chayiv. So what could we be medayik from the Mishnah? Chatzi zayis, if you only carried out a half a kezayis from the house, potter. Then you'd be potter. But Tanya, we learned in a Braisa where it says, Chatzi Zayis, if you carry out from a house on Shabbos a half a Zayis of a mace, then you're chayiv, you are chayiv. So we have a contradiction. So Rav Sheshes says, what would be the answer? My love, don't you think that the answer is you have to look at whether what you did right now is effective in the present? And the answer would be as follows. Tanya chayiv, when it says in the Braisa that if you carried out a half a kezayis, you'd be chayiv. The apik chatzi zayis mikizayis. There was one kezayis in the house that caused tumah. You took out a half a kezayis of that full kezayis, so you now took out a half a kezayis, you took away the ability of it making tumah. Because now there's only a half a kezayis left, and a half a kezayis is not makabel tumah. So therefore what you did is currently effective. And v'hodetnan potter, when it says in our Mishnah that you took out a half a kezayis, you're potter, you know why you're potter? The apik chatzi zayis mikezayis umechza. There was a kezayis and a half in the house, and when you took out that half a kezayis, you left the kezayis in the house. So what you did is ineffective right now. You brought it closer to taking away the tumah, because now that you took out the half a kezayis, if someone takes out another half, it's going to take away the tumah. But bringing it closer doesn't matter. So this goes against what Rav Nachman says. You have to look at what it is presently. That was Rav Shesh's source to his opinion. There, Rav Nachman says, no, that's not the pshat here. There's no raya from our Mishnah. Idi v'idi chayiv. In both of these cases that you just mentioned, you'd be chayiv because you brought it closer to taking away the tumah, and that's enough. And v'hodetnan potter, when it says in our Mishnah that you took out a half a kezayis, so we were medayik from our Mishnah, that if you took out a half a kezayis, you'd be potter, the apik chatzi zayis mimeis gadol. You took out a half a kezayis from a much larger amount. You have a meis gadol, which is 2 kezayis, 3 kezayis, or maybe even 10 kezayis. Meis gadol doesn't mean literally a meis gadol. Taisus here says, as long as it's 2, 3, 4 kezayis, so even Rav Nachman would be meideh that a half a kezayis is not enough to be chayiv. In the case of the Nega Tzaras, it was 3 hairs. So it's just one more hair, you're getting very close. But over here, if it's a Meis Gadol, Rav Nachman would be Meide, and that's the case that our Mishnah is talking about. Okay. Sagt Mishnah weiter. Now we take a break a little bit of the halachas of Haitzah. Not for too long, just for about a blot and a half, and then we come back to Haitzah. Sagt the Mishnah, Haneitel Siparnav Zu Bezu. If a person cuts his nails with one finger, he takes off the nails of another finger. Or he bites it off with his teeth. The same with his hairs, he pulls out his hairs with his hands, not with a scissor. The same also with a mustache. Or the same with the beard. If you make braids out of the hair. A woman that puts makeup on her eyes. Pekeses Rashi brings either means you comb the hair, or pekeses means an interesting thing that they used to take this kind of a dough or whatever that they placed on attached to the skin, and then they would remove it and they would make the skin red. Before they had blush, that's the way they made the skin red. Rabbi Eliezer mechayiv in all of these cases. So Rabbi Eliezer says you'd be chayiv. The Chachamim oisre mishum shvos. Chachamim say in all of these cases the isra is only a isra midrabanan.
Why wouldn't they say potter? Why is the lashon not potter?
It means potter. He's saying it's potter, but it's aser mishum. It doesn't use. Okay, it uses a different lashon. I'm not sure. And it's only aser midrabanan, not no yisam and atayra. So the Gemara starts with the first case of the Mishnah, where a person is cutting his nails with his hands and not with a keli. Amar Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar machlokes biyad. The machlokes over here between Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim, whether it's an isam and atayra or only an isam and rabbanan, is if you're taking off your nails with your hands. Aval bekeli, if you used a scissor or a nail clipper, then chayiv, and you'd be chayiv min atayra. Everybody would agree, even Chachamim. Frek the Gemara pshita, well, it's obvious. That's the pshat in the Mishnah. Zu bezu tanan. It clearly says in the Mishnah the case is you're taking off your nails with your other hand. So the Gemara answers, Ma'al Deteim, Rabbi Elazar is telling me, I would think that maybe Rabbanan bekeli nami potri, that Rabbanan would hold that even with a keli a potter. And Rashi explains, why would I think so? Because the source of the malacha of cutting your nails is from geizes, shearing the wool of an animal. So I would think that maybe geizes only applies to an animal. That's the way that on a goof of a human being, that malacha doesn't apply in atayra. So I would think that even with a keli a potter. Why does it say zu bezu that it was done by hand? It's only to come to show you how far Rabbi Eliezer was machmer, that even in such a case, it's also an atayra. Kamash Malon, therefore Rabbi Eliezer tells us that no, their argument has only been negated to when you did it by hand, but if it was done with a keli, the Rabbana would agree that it's also an atayra. Another thing Rabbi Eliezer said, machlokes latzmai. The machlokes here is when you're taking off your own nails with your hands or your own fingernails. If you're cutting your friend's nails with your hands, taking off his nails, then divrei kol potter. Everybody would agree it's potter. As Rashi says, when you take off somebody else's nails with your hands, you can't take it off evenly the way it should be taken off, and therefore over there everybody, even Rabbi Eliezer would agree that it's potter min atayra. Pshita, again the Gemara asks, this is obvious, tzipar novtnan. It says clearly in the Mishnah, if you're taking off your own nails. Mao, the Taima, again the Gemara says a similar teretz. I would think to say, Rabbi Eliezer lechavere nami mechayev. That really Rabbi Eliezer holds that even when you take off your friend's nails, you would be chayev. V'ha de ktani tzipar nov, when the Mishnah says your nails, lediacha koichen de rabbanon. The Mishnah is only coming to say that even though when you take off your own nails you could do it evenly, even there the Rabbanan say that it's potem and atayre. Kamash Mulan, therefore he came to tell me that no, that the machlokes here between Rabbi Eliezer and the Chachamim is only when you're taking off your own nails. Chen Sadoi, the next thing we learned in the Mishnah is about cutting your hair. Tana, we learned Tanaitum loy pi azug. If you cut the amount that the tip of a scissor could take, then you chayev. And how much is that? How much is what a tip of a scissor can take? Omer Rav Yehuda shtayim, 2 hairs. Fragt the Gemara, but what Tanya, we learned in Abraise, ulekarcha shtayim. For the isser of karcha is when a person pulls out hairs because of a tragedy. A person pulls out hairs. There's an isser to do that. Over there it's shtayim. It's mashma only by the isser of karcha, not on Shabbos. Answers the Gemara, Eime v'chein lekarcha shtayim. In that brayso you have to add the word v'chein, that it's on Shabbos, and for the Isser of karcha, 2 hairs is the minimum amount. Tanya Nami Yachav, we learned as well in a brayso, noitel pi azug b'Shabbos. If you cut pi azug, the amount that a tip of a scissor could handle, take on Shabbos yechai. Kamam loy pi azug, and how much is that? Shtayim, 2 hairs. Rabbi Eliezer argues and says, achas, even 1 hair yechayev. Chacham would agree to Rabbi Eliezer if you're pulling out a white hair from amongst black hairs, that even 1 hair you'd be chayiv because that's something significant. The person doesn't want to have that white hair, he doesn't want to look old, so even 1 hair is significant in such a case on Shabbos. And to pull out a white hair from black hairs, so even during the week is awesome because of the isser of la yilbash that the person is beautifying himself. Going back to the case of cutting your nails. Rab Shimon ben Elazar says, a nail that most of it is already off, and also the pieces of skin that are right near the nails, that is mostly off. So then, biyad mutter, by hand you're allowed to pull them off, bekeli chayiv. But if you cut it with a scissor, with a nail clipper, you'd be chayiv chatas. You'd be chayiv a chatas. Fragt the Gemara, mi ikke midi, do we ever find such a thing, such an extreme difference? The bekeli chayav chatas, if you do it with a nail clipper, with a scissor, you'd be chayav chatas, but a biyad mutter, and by hand it would be totally mutter lechatchila. And for the Gemara, hachi kamar, this is how you have to read this statement. Pirishu ruban, if most of the nail or most of the skin near the nails came off, biyad mutter, with your hands it would be mutter, bekeli potter. If you do it with a keli, then you'd be potter avalaser. So it's also only midrabanan. Loi pirshu ruban, if your nails did not come off mostly, biyad, if you do it by hand, it's potter. Avalaser, it's also midrabanan. Bekeli, if you did it with a keli, chayev chatas. Then you chayev chatas. Amar Rav Yehuda, halacha Rab Shimon ben Elazar. This is the halacha lemaisa. This is how we pass like Rab Shimon ben Elazar. Amar Rabbi Babachana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, v'hu shepirshu klape maila o metzare saisei. The only time you're allowed to remove the skin that's near the nails by hand on Shabbos, l'chatchila, you're allowed to move it. It's only if it's off klape maila and it's causing you pain. Now, what's the pshat in klape maila? So here there's a machlekes Rashi and Taisvis. Either klape maila means towards the top of the nail or towards the top facing towards the hand. There's 2 opposite directions of what klape maila means. So because we don't know what klape maila means, it's a problem. Halacha b'payil.
Which one?
So it's a machlekes over here. So therefore halacha b'payil, it's not allowed to be done on Shabbos because we don't know what klape maila means. Okay.